This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. Yes, welcome to the Racing Action Today. We're here today at the Nutmeg TV station to film a show with one of my greatest race car drivers that I like to see go on and become somebody special. And Tyler, you've been involved in this racing, Tyler Alkas, since you was a little kid. And of course, we all know that beside racing the car, you have to learn what the car is and build the car. Am I correct?
Yep.
Now tell me something. What your SK Light, first of all, let's tell the people, what does SK Light mean? What does that mean?
SK Light is a type of modified. So you have SK Modified, which has more horsepower, and then you have SK Light, which has less horsepower, which is kind of a learning division before you take the next step into the SK Modified action.
Okay. And along with the power of the car, there must be other parts of the car too that are a little different.
Yeah, there's a lot. You know, you have the standard transmission, which is a Saginaw transmission. Then you have the rear end, special racing rear end. Then you got the ATL fuel cell, which is a special fuel cell that you have to run. That's really only like race cars.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interior, all the gauges you have to run. There's a lot.
Now tell me something. We have a shot of your chassis, bare chassis, of the car. What kind of chassis do you use?
I run a Spavco race chassis. It's basically it's a certain type of chassis, and it's updated. It's gotten updated 3 years. So so we got a Spavco race chassis.
So you mean update? You mean they changed some things?
Yep, they changed some things on the front and the rear half of the car, like different mounts for different things, and there's different mounts now. And
now, does safety enter the picture too? Did NASCAR demand you make changes safety-wise?
Yeah. After a couple of wrecks, if there's a bad one, they'll take it into the NASCAR center, and they'll go through it all. And sometimes they'll have updates with different bars you have to add and everything else in order to make you safe and the car safe.
Now, are they local people?
Spavco?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spavco's in Preston, Connecticut, which is about 45 minutes from where I live in Berlin. So
that's not bad.
No, not at all.
Now tell me something. Have you used the Spavco chassis during all the time you've been racing a SK?
Yeah, that's the only chassis I've used, only chassis I know, and really, as of right now, the only one that I'm going to continue to run.
Now, along with the chassis, naturally we have a motor. Now, from my recollection, the motors in these cars are to a certain spec. I don't know if there's a GM 602 comes to my mind. Is that the motor?
Yup, it is a GM 602, and it's a crate motor. Then you bring it to the engine builder, and I don't know exactly what they do, but they add a couple different things, and then they seal it. So you can't go inside the motor after it's been sealed, because they make sure everything's perfect and equal playing field. And then you also have the carburetor that goes on top of it, which is a 2-barrel carburetor. It's a Holly. And then you
only like 500 CMF or something?
Yeah, I don't really know the spec to that, and then you have the air cleaner, which is what gets air into the car.
Yep, and that's special too?
Yeah, it helps. I mean, it helps cool the engine down, helps get airflow throughout the exhaust and all the pistons and everything else.
So, beside being a spec motor from General Motors, you send these engines to engine people to kind of tweak them? Or do they give you more horsepower, or how does this work?
So the engine builder that does it it's rad. So there's only one engine builder for the whole class, and what they do is they take it and then they take a couple things off, like the stock motor, put a couple things off, which makes it give more horsepower, and then they seal it, which basically means you can't tamper with it.
So now you mentioned what would you say, a rad?
Yep, rad.
And where are they located?
In Massachusetts.
And they take care of everybody's motor?
Everybody's motor in the SK Light division has Stafford. When you get in the SK, you could build your own motor. You could have other people do motors, but for the SK Light division, he's the only one that I know of who could do it.
Oh, wow. That's kind of interesting. So beside the engine and certain things got to be done to it. The transmission is special too?
I mean, yeah, it's a racing transmission. You know, you go through it, make sure all the parts are good in it, and make sure it's top notch. And then it's a 3-speed Saginaw. So you have first, second, and third, which is really just, I only use, when I'm racing, we only use second and third, so low, high.
Yeah.
Then we have first gear to go out through the pits, and then we have reverse. So it's a 3-speed Saginaw.
Now, they do that for a reason. You can't just put like a 4-speed in there and start fooling around with gear ratios, right?
Nope. You have to run a certain transmission. There's a certain gear that you have to run. There's a gear rule there. I know there's a couple of different ones depending on what kind of rear end you want, because there's a straight rear, which basically a straight rear, what it means is the gearing inside of it's all put together and the rear's put together. So in order to take it out, you have to take the whole center of it out and change the gears. But quick change rear end is, there's a cover on the back of it where you could just take the cover off and slide the gears out and put different gearing in.
Now, you could use a quick change rear?
Yep.
I mean, that makes life much easier, right?
Yeah, but when you're only running one track, in like Stafford and then Thompson, they also are the same gear, so we only really use the straight rear.
So you're telling me now that Stafford and Thompson literally run the same gear?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That makes it good for you guys, though, right?
Yeah, makes it easier for us, but there's different rev limiters which allow the motors to get higher, which I believe Stafford's 6,000. I think Thompson's either 62 or 6,400. So you have more RPMs because you're going quicker. So it just helps out so the motor doesn't blow up.
Now, when you said straight rear, cost-wise, are they a lot cheaper than the quick change?
I don't really know the prices updated. I mean, I think they're about the same. I think the quick change may be more expensive, honestly, but I could be wrong. I really don't know the prices. Now,
when you run wheels on here, we talked about tires. Is there a special wheel you use?
Yeah, rims. So we use wide 5 rims, 15-inch rims, 15-inch wide rims, 5 lugs.
Yeah.
And we use Bassett racing wheel rims. I don't know what. Actually, I could be wrong about that. I know there is some rims that are Bassett racing wheel. And there's definitely other types of rims out there that we could run, but they have to be wide 5 and everything else. But then there's different offsets, everything else. But because different types of chassis run different offsets.
When you go to a race, do they have to tech the car in all the time?
Nope. Beginning of the year, you tech it, and they make sure everything's safe and everything like that. And then if you finish in the top 3 in the feature, then you go to tech. And if you're 4th, you just go over the scales. And then say someone in the top 3 gets disqualified, then you go into tech and they tech your car also.
Okay. So they make they like to give you a stamp off early until you win or something. And then they don't want to look at the car all over again, right?
Yeah, because if you have to go through every car every week with 36 cars, it's definitely a hassle.
Oh, sure it is. I know, like when the modified tour races, they go through every car before the race. Everyone.
Yeah, they have like certain ride height rules and everything else, so they have to roll them through this like stand thing that they have.
Now, you don't have a ride height rule? Or
no, we do. We definitely do, but it's not as complex as the NASCAR wheel and tour is. It's like this little piece of steel you slide under your car, and it's got to be certain
chassis?
Yep, under the front part of the chassis, about where your feet are, and it's got to be a certain height. And if you're too low, they make you come in. Then you got to adjust the shocks and raise the car up, and then once you raise the car up, then you go back through, and if you pass, then you're all set.
And the tire, now to get back to them, they are all the same thick softness. Is it a spec tire?
There's 2 different softnesses. So there's 2 different tire compounds. So the right side tire is what you call a Hoosier M450, and then the left side is a Hoosier M30. So that's all we can run. So we have left side and right side tires.
Yeah.
And if you put one tire on a different side, it doesn't work out well. So we have left side tires and right side tires, and M30 and then M450, which I don't really know like what the softnesses are, like the difference, like how soft each one is. But yeah, that's about it.
Now, when you're running these 15-inch wheels with new tires, I mean, you could really muscle this car around the track. Am I thinking right?
Yeah, you could put it wherever you want, and it will stick. It definitely will stick, especially with 15 inches of rubber on each side of the car.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got 15 inches in the right front, right rear, left front. So.
I mean, you could really muscle them around, right?
Yeah. No,
now tell me something. When you're coming off turn 1 and 2, you know, is it tough to get it to bite traction wise or no?
It all really depends on your setup, like, because there's adjustments for everything nowadays, and my dad could make an adjustment, whatever I need it to be, he could do it. So the way the car's set up now, it turns really good in the corner, and once you get back on the throttle, the car starts to rotate and just drives right off the corner like a dream.
Yeah, because that's always a problem with getting a bite coming off. I mean, and today the technology has gone beyond the roof. They talk about center rotation and everything else, right?
Yeah, and cool thing about the tires is all the tires, they're 2 different sizes, so you don't run the same size tire in each one. So like the roundness of it,
you measure them.
Yeah, you measure them to see what your stagger is going to be, because depending on what stagger you have, it affects the rear, so it helps turn the car, or it doesn't. So say you have small stagger, the car won't turn as good. Say you have like big stagger, the car's way too loose. But say if you put the stagger in like the perfect position that you need it, and it comes back in from the feature at that good position, car's going to be great.
So that's you have to measure the tire.
Measure a tire.
And then of course pressure plays a role. And I'm curious, without giving away secrets, what kind of tire pressure is in these cars?
I believe the lowest pressure that we run is like 10 pounds around there. And then the highest pressure we run, I think, is like 15. So, but there's different splits. So you run higher pressures on the right sides, lower pressures on the left sides.
Now, the other question I have when it comes to this pressure, during the race, will the tire build pressure?
Yeah.
Do you have to compensate for this?
Yeah, normally start the car off tighter, because when the tires get bigger, the stagger will grow, and it will make it just keep getting looser and looser. So you just compensate for that, and because we use nitrogen to fill the tires, so nitrogen doesn't grow as much, but once it gets heated, the tires get heat up, they build rubber, and they definitely expand. You
use nitrogen for air?
Yeah.
And what was the main reason for that?
Because nitrogen doesn't grow as much when it gets heated up.
When it heats up, okay. So it won't build up. Now, we talk about stagger. I want to explain to the people what real stagger means in the simplest way I could do this. If you had a coffee cup, right, a styrofoam cup, one end of that cup has got a small diameter.
And then
of course, the mouth end, where you're drinking from, is big.
Yep.
So when you roll that thing, it has a natural tendency to want to roll easy, right?
Yeah,
Am I thinking right?
Yeah, no, it rolls really easy.
Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, so you got the left side tires, which is going to be smaller. Sometimes it gets bigger. And the right side tire is bigger, but you really can't see the difference until you measure it, because it's only off by like 3 inches difference.
Yeah.
So it's not a big difference.
Okay, now, during the building the car, what have you learned? Have you learned how to weld?
I don't really weld on the car. Sometimes my dad does, but when we need welding done, like if it's like a big thing, we'll take it somewhere to like Spafco to get it done. But I like welding like scrap pieces of metal around the garage. So he's been teaching me how to weld.
Make tools and stuff?
Yep.
I mean, that's one thing you definitely learn, right?
Yeah.
Now, setting the car up, whose job is that? Is that your father's?
Yeah, that's Dad.
Do you have input to this or no?
Dad does the baseline setup, and then once we're at the track, then we adjust it from there. But this year, cars, whenever he sets it up, it's been good for the most part, except for when we have bad luck. And yeah.
Now, when you go to Stafford, let's say this week you're going there. Does temperature play a role? Let's say it's a little cooler out.
Yeah.
It's like 62 degrees or something.
Yeah, when it's colder out, the motors actually run faster.
Okay.
Because they're cooler, so you got more horsepower, so the car's a lot faster when it's colder out than when it is warm out.
Do you have to make any change in the tire pressure or anything?
No, not normally, no.
But it will affect the power in the motor.
Yep.
A little cooler, the motor likes it, right?
Yeah.
This has been a crazy year for rain. Have you lost many races from rain?
Yeah, I think 5. I think there's 5 now.
I know. I mean, it seems like it rains here every week.
Yeah, it's been bad the past couple of days, but I think so far this week we have 5. This year we have 5 rainouts, which is crazy.
But they don't make them up. They don't make them up. That's it. When it rains out, you're done.
Yep, one less race if it rains out.
Now, is there a point system?
Yep, so there's a point system. So depending on where you finish, you get a certain amount of points. So if you win, you get 50 points, and then each position is -2. So second's 48, then 46, then 44, then 42, then 40, and so on through the field.
Okay, now where do you stand in points right now?
Oh, right now I think I'm in 15th in points, but I wrecked out of 3 races, and I missed 2 because the car was wrecked. So
when you don't finish, it really hurts your points.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so you got 3 to go to try to get your best finishes, right? And that'll, at the end of the year, the points, will you get like something from the racetrack?
I believe the top 10 in points gets money.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure for that. But yeah, like I said, next race, me and my dad are still deciding. We either have 3 races or 2 races to go because there's a Friday and Saturday show, and the Saturday show is an invitational, so it's non-points, but people who haven't won. And we may just run that instead of running the Friday before to not take a chance of wrecking the car, because that one will pay extra money.
Okay, all right.
Which will be good if we can win that. So, and then we run the last race. So we either have 2 or 3 races left.
Now, do you do it? You said you race at Thompson too, or no?
I haven't raced at Thompson yet. We're still deciding if we're going to go there this year. It's still up in the air. We would like to. We may not.
What is this, something like you do at the end of your regular season?
Yeah, Thompson's the last race of the year for Connecticut. They have the World Series, which is either in late September. No, it's in October, like mid to late October, and yeah, they run late there.
I'm curious. You never been out there, huh? Never been on?
Nope, we really haven't had the opportunity to go. Past couple of years, but I would like to.
Oh, sure, just the experience. I mean, that's another track with great history. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's got a lot of history there. And, a lot of different types of divisions, a lot of different winners.
You know, people are amazed when I tell them in 1969, I saw at Thompson Richard Petty, David Pearson, and a couple other people. In 1969, racing at Thompson.
That's crazy.
Isn't that something?
That's sick.
And Pearson won the race. Petty blew his rear, and he dropped out about a lap or 2 early. But that was really something. For me, that was like the highlight of my following and racing, you know?
Yeah, it was definitely awesome.
But I like the road course up there, believe it or not. We taped a few shows up there in the road course they built now. Of course, they had one years and years ago, but that's all gone, you know.
Yeah, no, they still have it. The road course at Thompson, they still run it.
No, they do now, yes.
Yeah.
The new one. I'm talking about there was an old one. They used to call it something else, you know.
Yeah.
But the history there is special. And do they run the same kind of car? Or?
Yeah, same kind of cars as Stafford. You know, you got the SKs, SK lights, the open modified, just like the Tour modified, same thing. Just stuff like that.
And they race every week too, same thing?
Nope, they race once a month. They run once a month there. They kind of cut back on things now, so they'll run once a month there.
You know, I have to get out there. I haven't been there in a long time, you know.
Yeah.
But Stafford is good too, though. The history there is great too. I could remember Tyler, dirt track was the dirt track. I could remember Ed Flimke Sr. on the dirt track with Ernie Gahan and Billy Shoemaker. I mean, this was phenomenal. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, the dirt track.
Great.
Dirt track there was definitely amazing.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have seen that. I bet that they probably put on a show there too.
Well, sure. You know, the SK driver, Santo. You know Santo?
Bobby Santos?
Bobby Santo. I remember his grandfather. Whoa. I almost fell off the chair. I can remember his grandfather racing there on the dirt, and he was something. Let me tell you.
Yeah, Bobby Santos is a good driver.
Yeah, his grandfather, his father raced there too, but his grandfather's the guy. He's the one that, he made the big deal there. We used to go there on Friday night, come home completely full of dirt, hey.
Yeah, we still
from
do.
the clay. And then there were some great drivers back then. Billy Wimble from New York, he couldn't beat him, It was good times.
Yeah, I bet it was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Of course, you guys only know the asphalt part, which has got a great history too there. Spring Sizzler and, all these great events.
Spring Sizzler, Icebreaker, World Series, Fall Final.
Yeah, I mean, the history there is special.
Yep.
And I'm not sure, do they still race like bandoleros or anything else, or no?
Waterford does it. They do that in Legend Cars, but nowhere else besides for those two tracks in Connecticut run those.
Is that right? That's it. Bandoleros. That's interesting. Do you still have the car?
No, we sold that. We sold that a while ago. Right as we were getting into the mod, we sold it.
I was hoping to get one of my grandkids in the go-kart, but it didn't happen. They have different things they like, and it's all right. I got a football game tomorrow night I got to go to, and baseball I coached for years, But I miss racing, I really do.
Yeah, racing's fun. Not a lot of people realize it.
Yeah, it really is something to get involved and get with a team and learn what's going on. It's special.
Yeah, it definitely is. Especially being around just a group of people, and especially if you're around a good group, really smart people, and it's like the funnest you'll ever have.
Yeah. Of course, you coming from your family with the patriarch. I always call him that. Dave. The racing was special. I could tell you tales about running down Norton Road, full bore in a 1950 Chevy with 3 carburetors from a Corvette, with an old 53 Corvette. I mean, he would petrify us. Them were the good old days,
Yeah, he would probably fly around there.
Oh yeah. The race car, you had to get it, find out whether it would run or not. Oh jeez. Oh boy. The stories I could tell you.
Yeah.
Mo Guernsey, which you never knew, right? He passed away. Yeah. He was like the director at Plainville. Came to your Uncle Dave's house, was going to seal the motor. Would not go in the garage. Was afraid. At that time with the old barn, would not go in the garage. He said, "Bring the car out here." Oh my God. The stories I could tell you.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it's all fun,
Yeah.
Sadly, we've been losing people left and right. It's just been a terrible thing.
It's been a terrible year for the racing community.
Yeah.
A lot of people we've lost.
Oh my God, just last week we lost Dave's car owner. Roland Sear. He was a great guy, and then not too long before that, Don Moon.
Yeah.
Who the hell ever thought he would die?
Yeah, Don Moon.
I mean, who thought he would die? He just was active right to the end,
Yep.
And Billy Greco and Jay Ross. Oh my God, I'll tell you. Stories I could tell you. Jay Ross, I don't know if you ever knew him. Did you ever know him?
No, not
He
yet.
was an older guy in town. He had a modified that Bobby Bishop used to drive, 97 at Riverside Park. One year, they had what they used to call Eastern States. Used to have a race. One year, the stock car was screwed up. They couldn't race it, so they had a late model race. What's he do? He's got a brand new 60 Ford two-door sedan, puts a number on the side of it with tape, with masking tape, and Charlie, I'm trying to think his name now. Oh boy, drove the car in the race, radio on full blast, wore out the right front tire. Could you imagine?
That's amazing.
Huh?
That's amazing.
Isn't that something? Who would ever thought?
Yeah, I know.
You know, running a brand new street car in the late model class, you know. Yeah, we had fun in them days, you know. That's one thing. The memories never leave you. They just don't.
Definitely not.
They're always right here, you know. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. Tyler, you've been excellent. I want to do this again sometime, maybe after one of your races. And I want you to say hello to Dad and grandfather Fred and your grandmother. You know, I know I'm going to see your Uncle Dave and Paul at the fair. We'll be swearing at each other for 3 days, but it's all good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Thank you
for having me.
Being with us today. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for being with on Racing Action Today. Thank you and good night. This program is brought to you in part by Just Results Weight Loss Center in Berlin, Connecticut.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lynn.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name's Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the clips with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.